record. I don't think I can. Oh, there we go. So welcome again. For those of you that are joining us on Facebook Live, we've just started recording here on Zoom. And again, just welcoming you to our Good of the Whole Monday morning Global Heart Resonance call. And we're here to fully embody and experience this beautiful ethos of wholeness. And invite everyone just to take a breath. Because when we're speaking about wholeness, why are we speaking about wanting to cultivate a whole world view? And we're really doing that because when we understand that we are already a unified whole, and that's the topic of our call today. Thank you, Julie Krull. That it already instills upon our awareness that understanding, that intention that we are really choosing to come from, that intention of that this is an experience, an undulating experience of love as it moves through us and as us. And so that's why we come here for this call as mentoring stewards, living for the good of the whole. So this call happens every week, and we're here excited here on Zoom. And for those of you on Facebook Live, you can participate by typing in what's moving from you, what's emerging as we move into our resonant reflection. So we always begin this call with a deepening into resonance. And so we invite everyone to simply close their eyes. If you can, if you're driving, just stay fully present. And allow yourself to really drop into this vibrational frequency of wholeness and coming in and connecting to that sacred chamber of our collective heartbeat. And opening our breath, deepening, embodying love as a practical energy, as an energy that is conscious and alive. And as we're taking in that breath, we're breathing in that awareness of this sacred relationship to all life. And we can feel our connection through our feet to the earth. We can feel this connection through allowing our awareness to rise and connect with the vastness of consciousness, both the wave and the particle, as it's moving through us and as us. And you begin to feel this direct experience of connection, of our interconnectivity with this web of life. And becoming conscious of those inhales and exhales. And noticing the pause in between, that liminal space. We can feel that in our body, and as we expand our awareness, we become aware of the energies around us that are constantly moving through our emotional body, our spiritual awareness, our physicality, and even allowing that expansion to this unseen world that exists, whether we viably see it with our third dimensional eyes or not. We allow our sensate being to become more heightened. How does it feel to be in full resonance? We come to this call to experience resonance, this symphonic relationship to life itself. And we allow ourselves to just simply relax and open as we come into this call here. And really experiencing this sense of group consciousness, this collective whole. So welcome everyone. Welcome those of you that are on Facebook Live. And so Julie's going to open our call, and I'm just going to share then a couple of guidelines, and then we will open it to the full participation of everyone here on Zoom and those of you on Facebook Live. So thank you so much. And blessings to everyone. And I'll pass it over to you, Julie. I'll pass you over this beautiful love sculpture.
Thank you, Shelley. I'll take that love. I love when you said love is conscious and alive. Yummy, yummy, yummy. So our topic for today, a quote from Capra says, "Nature does not show us any isolated building blocks, but rather appears as a complex web of relationships between the various parts as a unified whole." We are not separate from the complex web of life. We are the web. We are not just a part of the unified whole, we are the unified whole. We are the web, the complex relationships, the whole. Take a moment and feel into the interconnectedness of life. Send love to all creatures, big and small. This is us. We are this. Focus on the relationship part of complex web of relationships. This is the only thing we have control over, our relationship to all things. We have control over our relationship to the rest of nature, to life, to the unified field of consciousness, and our expression and experience within it. All healing and wholeness begins when we assume responsibility for our relationships. We're invited to be responsive and claim our innate unified wholeness. So the question to drop into the field today is, how might our responsiveness to the complex web evolve our relationship with wholeness? How might our responsiveness to the complex web evolve our relationship with wholeness? I apologize for the reading. I have this dizzy spell thing that's happening the last couple of days, so I can't read on a small device, but that's the question for the day and the reflection. Back to you, Shell.
Thank you, Julie. And just holding this frequency of energy, just simple few guidelines for those of people that might be listening that are new. The way that we hold this container, the way that we open the field is to really share from that emergent experience that we're having. And I'd like to bring in the golden thread, really following as if you were a weaver. We are weavers in this experience, and just weaving this golden thread, really simply listening to that frequency, that soul force that's moving through us and as us, and just catching hold of that thread and letting go of that which we think needs to be said, but that which wants to bring itself, raise its understanding to us as a collective. So just simply following that thread that's moving through us as a collective, and speaking 1 to 2 minutes, and you're allowed to come back in as you feel to, but allowing, most importantly, just simply the pause, allowing there to be that pause in between, which allows us to deepen into the field itself, build that coherence, feel what that feels like as a collective, and to let it go to that next person that is then catching that thread. So with that, that's it for today. And we're going to just open this call to everyone. And for those of you on Zoom, just simply sharing with us what it is that's merging for you. So with that, I open with this beautiful love sculpture to those who feel the inspiration to share what's emerging. Thank you.
Good morning from California. We're going to get some rain. Wow. Well, last night, this is Nancy, sorry. Last night, I was at a neighborhood birthday party and was talking to one of the gals who's a university professor who specializes and teaches about group process. And we had a really interesting conversation, specifically because she's writing a book on this kind of thing. And we were talking, she focuses on groups and what happens when new people come into a group and different kinds of groups. And I started telling her about this group. And it was fascinating because, well, one, she asked me, well, how do you feel when you are part of this group? So it was really interesting to be talking to somebody about how I'm feeling about being here. And I had to put into words to, just off the top of my head. But the interesting thing was we started talking, she assumed that when new people come into this group, that there's that process that she's studying. And I said, that's so fascinating, because the thing that I love about being part of this group is that a new person that's a stranger could come into this group. And to me, it feels just like family, and I've known them forever. It's like this web that we're talking about this morning. I just think it's so exciting that we all in this quilt I'm looking at have our own circles, many of them maybe, and that we can all come together, but we're all connected. I mean, I can feel the web. I can experience the web. I'm not just looking at all of you. I can feel all of your own circles. And it's just kind of exciting. And so I had this conversation with a kind of a stranger last night that was delightful. And I just think it's so wonderful for a new face, a new name that we don't know that pops on this call. I feel like they're part of the family, and we've just found each other. And it comes all back to what I've always talked about. Many of you have heard me say this. This is the reunion of these, your lights. And I'm just so excited to feel that when you meet a stranger and you know that this is the reunion and you're reconnecting. And that's something that brings me a lot of joy, to have this connection as a kind of a, can't think of the word, but it's an anchor for me. This group is an anchor that ripples out to all of our circles. And it means a lot. So that's my thoughts on when I think of web and us, and happy to be here with you this morning. Thank you.
This is Henry in Colorado. Nancy's sharing kind of brought me to the place of an insight from a while back, is that of the omnipresent center, which is here, which is within each of us, in our wholeness as part of the larger whole. And it was actually part of seeing the flower of life entirely surrounding the planet, but seeing every person, every being as part of that, as an omnipresent center, and relating in that way. And a second piece that I'd like to share is the word in the inquiry at the end, that there was a word that came to mind for especially now and what's happening in our world, in our lives, is respond. How do we respond? And a movement class that on Saturday that Nahid was also at, the teacher began with saying that what's happening now is calling for a deeper level of responsibility in each of us as part of that wholeness. So just opening, or I'm asking that inquiry of myself. How do I respond when when, in seeing big changes that are happening in certain parts of the world and could happen in our parts, wherever we are, or at least in some way or fashion. So I'm just kind of opening the field to that deeper level of that inquiry of responsiveness and responsibility. So how do I respond today in a way that can be most helpful, even like that minute of silence? So I am complete.
Good morning, Nahid from Boulder. The Saturday class was a dancing class. And the conversation was about fear and fate. It's interesting what has been happening and I'm experiencing is it's really dancing with our fear. That is the most responsible that I feel that I can do for me. What is becoming more clear, it is I am here to experience my passion. It's like earth is my practice field, my body is that laboratory that I have access to. And this is my dance. And what is clear, it's just the loving omnipresence that you brought up, Henry, is to me dancing with my fear. It is to be that loving presence. What we know now is like the consciousness, whatever, God, universal intelligence, whatever you name it, is experiencing his passion. I was watching a movie, but Johnny Mastani, an Indian movie, is kind of the two warriors, the masculine and feminine last night. I was so seeing all these wars and everything that is happening. It's just a practice field for passion. So I just heard, okay, just be in love. It doesn't matter what. Just be in love with whom, what, situation, the bird, the air, whatever. Just be in love. Then you know you are in love. You are in it. You are in it. I would like to finish it with this. I went for a walk yesterday and by the creek, and I was guided to go to a place kind of sacred space, and I saw a spiral and this writing inside of it, which is what you brought in, Julie. And I took a picture of it. It says, humans are birthed for relationship. The skin, the eyes, the tongue, ears, and nostrils are the gates where our body receives the nourishment of otherness. This landscape of shadowed voices, these feathered bodies and antlers tumbling streams. These breathing shapes are our family. These breathing shapes are our family. The beings with whom we are engaged, with whom we struggle and suffer and celebrate. It seems it was some message from Native Americans that wanted to communicate and talking about relationship, and that's how everything happens in us as humans. So I thought, let me share that with you. Hello, I have a little frog here. So I'm happy that we're linking the unified wholeness with sensate wholeness today. My heart tells me that that's one of the steps to expand our own ability to be more globally connected. I do the Global Care Room every month and sometimes more often. And I do that so that I can practice stretching my boundaries. The practice is done at the HeartMath Institute website, usually on the full moon. Most of you know it. I support circle groups that are supporting softer boundaries for empowerment of all people. But in my case, as a woman, especially women being empowered. And yesterday we saw the global marches and protests that took place around the world as women are saying, we belong in all aspects of social society. So by practicing that and stretching and reaching beyond myself out into the collective on a regular weekly basis, it facilitates my experiencing unified wholeness. And I've been making great forward movement in this for several years. So I wanted to share what I'm doing to participate in the subject of unified wholeness today. Because I'm curious, how about you? For me, this isn't a forum just about ideas. It's about what are we doing? What is working for us? How can we share that with one another to turn someone else on to some little jewel we may have discovered? So with that, my heart is full and I feel very complete. Thank you, dear brother and sisters of this delicious circle that nurtures my heart every week that I'm able to attend. Namaste.
Hi, this is Sharon from New Jersey. And sitting outside because it's a beautiful day. It's in the 60s here. So I thought I'd try this. But I'm called to chime in right now following this golden thread of interconnection. We have, I'd say, at least 10 bird species that I'm looking at as I gaze upon my yard, plus some squirrels and other things. And call and response and relationship. So a couple of things I want to share. One is there's a movie, and actually it's kind of being built as an experience to be had, called Fantastic Fungi. Some of you may know about it, but it's having a worldwide screening on March 26th. And you can go to the website and find out where the screening might be that's near you. And I'm going to be able to see it in or be there for this experience at the Natural Academy of Science in Philadelphia. I've got tickets, so hopefully these events will take place. I think they will. And connect us to the world of fungi. And they, as we all know, I think on this call, are the web connecting the underground world and benefiting everything in so many ways. So I'm eager to learn more about that. So that's happening. I received, let's see, where to go. Relationships. My dearest friend who lives in the Boston area, in the north of Boston, called me last night actually, to tell me that her house had burned down, or burned, I guess, and it's the whole roof, the solar panels went on fire and her roof burned, and they are all fine, but their things are all ruined and their home won't be livable for a year. So she was in a bit of a state of shock, as one might expect. But she's already able to start to glimpse the opportunity in that for letting go of attachment to things, anything, and staying in that place of connection and love with the people that are in her lives and that care about her, of which she has many, many. So that's happening. And today is my 35th wedding anniversary. So, and my husband had spring break last week from school. He teaches. So we went birding, of course. And yesterday we went to a place called Barnegat Light on the coast. And there, turns out one can see harlequin ducks. So that was a life bird for us, a new bird. Beautiful, beautiful little harlequin ducks, as well as black scoters and many other. I think we had just 12, 13 species of amazing ducks, and it was gorgeous at the beach. So all of those things are ways of connecting, and part of my response to the connection I feel is to share it. And so two things are coming up next weekend. I'm sharing Marian Head's Revolutionary Agreements program with our Unitarian Church. So doing the first workshop to introduce them to it, with the idea that maybe we'll do a class in the fall with a longer course. And so that's exciting. And there's about 5 people signed up as of a couple days ago. So that's happening. And we're also going to lead bird walks there. They have an arboretum. And so we've set up a couple of dates for spring birding there. Again, visceral connection. Oh, and the last thing to just share was Saturday, I also was dancing. We were doing Nia dance. And I invited one of the women from this UU congregation, a new friend, who came. She's been now twice. And the two circles intertwine, my Nia community and this other community, and we danced our connection with our bodies and to pleasure and to connection with each other. So that's my sharing this morning. And with that, I'll give you a shot of the birds. You can see the yard here a little bit. And thank you all.
So this is Shelley, and taking a breath with that last visual of just being able to see with these eyes nature, to hear with these ears the birds, to taste these amazing natural whole earth foods. So we could go on and on with that. And also what's happening for me is through this experience of the resonant field, of resting with all of you in the resonant field. It's really about the stabilizing in resonance. That's what changes my life. That's when I talk to someone and they hold that state of presence that brings me deeper into this congruous experience of love manifesting through these different experiences. And then for me, from that stabilized experience of living in resonance, it doesn't matter what I'm doing. I can choose anything. And that's probably the gift of being part of the humaning. You know, I get to choose. I get to respond. You know, every situation being that opportunity to really bring that soul force forward. And it's what I gain here. And I can feel this threshold of experience that elevates. So where it's less about what I'm doing, it's how I'm being in the actual response of the experience that's calling me forth. And that's what shifts and brings us into greater coherence. That's what my experience here is, you know, is just like taking that breath, allowing that pause, letting go of what I think, that linear frequency, allowing it beautifully. Lynn McTaggart has been so focused on resonance lately and entrainment. And so she's speaking this language through science. But this entrainment is something that caught my attention this morning, is that when two things are in resonance, when that entrainment happens, they create more, they amplify more than just the two individual frequencies. And that's what we are here for. That is how we embody wholeness. That is how we express wholeness. That is how we expand this frequency of wholeness. It is less about what you or I am or think, but it's about this becoming aware of the ever expanding field that happens, the state of being that infuses and informs. You know, I sit here, especially with my mom, you know, and taking care of her being here. I sit here and like my whole body is like, oh my God, I got to get to my book, or I got to get the resonant thing out, or this, and like, and I'm like wanting to go into action. And yet I keep being reminded that it's the state of presence that I be in. And what is the field calling for my attention right now? And can I surrender to that experience? Whether you're bird watching, whether you're out marching, whether I'm with my mother. But this call for me is this experience of this really, I love the word soul force right in this moment, you know, that soul force that it enlightens us. It lightens us, as I think someone was saying, you know, it's like, I feel lighter. I feel more present. I feel I can take myself and move into my day, whatever choice that be. So I just want to say how grateful I am for this experience that always reminds me to come home, you know, because we are talking about the home frequency. That is unique to Good of the Whole. This experience that brings us home, we don't have to try to find home. It brings us home so that we can be more present in whatever we're doing. And I'm so grateful for this opportunity to be here and feel very privileged to be here this morning, given my circumstances. So thank you. And I'm whole.
This is Julie in Nebraska. I feel called to share on that soul force piece. Just weaving back in what Henry was talking about, that omnipresent center and this soul force, just really seeing this weaving of that that web of life, our relationships to the web, our responsibility to our relationships in the web, that when my omnipresent center, which is my soul force, is looking to connect and be in relationship with your omnipresence center and soul force, or nature's omnipresent soul force, or my food's omnipresent soul force, or this moment. So I just love this idea that the responsibility comes from this place of omnipresent center, really presencing and connecting from that place in relationship to all things. That web of interconnected life, creating even greater wholeness, creating even greater resonance, creating even greater coherence. So yummy. I just want to drop this little piece in. I've been watching grandchildren the last week practically, sick babysitters, then sick babies. And so I got to watch a few movies. And I got to watch Frozen 2. And I couldn't watch it with my grandbabies because she's talking and dancing and singing with them, and the other babies making noises, and I couldn't hear and concentrate on the movie. But I kept hearing pieces from Frozen 2 that were amazing. Olaf talks about water has memory, and the water has memory is what saved everyone in the movie at the end. It's the whole theme of the movie. It was beautiful. But there was this one statement that kept ringing in my ear, and I wanted to go back and get it. And there were several quotes. I literally took them and wrote them down. But one is, fear can't be trusted. Wow, that was beautiful. And when I think about what we're asking in this moment to just really be in that omnipresent center and connect from that place to your omnipresent center and others and groups, like Nancy was saying, that we don't have to do the norming, storming, forming, all the old group phases that we go through, because we're in that omnipresent center, that soul force already, which attunes and then amplifies and creates this beautiful field that Shelley's talking about in that greater coherence. So that fear can't be trusted. It's like, oh yeah, that omnipresent center can. And fear often comes when we're not in that place. So here's to the expression and embodiment of that. And with that, I'm whole and complete.
Good morning. This is June from California. And as I'm listening today to the words about responding to love, to finding all the different ways in which I can blend and become and not only be in that love, but be the love. I'm thinking about what we're doing here in our home. We're taking about 1/3 of our home and making it into a separate apartment that we can rent out, so that I can think about retiring a bit. And as we do that, there's an enormous amount of things that have to be let go to make room for this move. And it's so easy to say, well, I'll just keep it all and just put it in a smaller space, but that doesn't work. And so I'm really looking at what in my home connects me to love. What is it in here that expresses it and that I can be with and expand in that? And so each room, as I go through it, and each piece as I look at it, really I'm asking, what kind of an expression of love are you, and how am I utilizing you in whatever way it is, whether it's just to be an environment to express love, whether it be an instrument to make the sounds of love with music or drumming. But whatever it is, it's really made me become so much more aware of and responsible to what it is that I am holding on to, what it is that I'm filling this world with that would be best let go of, and that I don't need, and someone else can use and find love in it. So everything we're talking about today really is deeply being experienced as we're going through this. First, digging up a good part of my garden, which is what I just love, and replanting it all and re-seeing it. I think it's reimagining my home, my yard, my environment, and how that environment impacts me, impacts the people I bring into my home, and impacts the neighborhood I live in. And so everything we're talking about today is really deeply connected to what's going on with me. And I so appreciate all of you and all that you bring to it. And I send my little heart of love back, and I'm complete.
This is Dinah in Oregon. And I'm hearing us living our resonance into experience. That is our frequency, our felt frequency, our energetic, connected knowing, our oneness in life, in living. And this is the field awakening us together. And we can trust that. We don't have to know everything because we know everything. Anyway, here's to wholeness. I'm complete.
Hi, it's Nancy again. And I just remembered something amazing that happened during this conversation I had at this party last night when I was telling these two gals how, when they asked me, how do I feel when I'm in this group? And I was sharing about the resonance and feeling present and feeling connected and experiencing being at a higher frequency and extreme joy. And I forgot. She looked at me and she said, "You mean like we're like you're doing right now. And it was so neat. It was just like connected the bridge. And yeah, I just wanted to share that because I'd forgotten that when I shared my story earlier. And looking at all of you, it's like, yes, we are out there doing it right now, many, many times throughout the day. For me, my goal is to feel more of that, as course, as much as I can throughout life's distractions. I just wanted to share that. That was a delight moment. I'm complete.
It is a delight moment. I receive it as we are the living dreams. We are. We dreamed it. And this is it. This is how it looks like in this very moment. Until
Well, hello all. This is Kate in South Dakota. I'll pick up the feather briefly, just to expound on the feeling that we all, as you can see, I pull over in there, even where I can. I just I love to take this call in because there's so much wisdom infused with becoming that omnipresent center at all times, taking it with us, and I know it's maybe a learned experience here as much as a shared experience, because you do get better at taking it with you. And on the heels of fantastic fungi, I've got some birds kind of chirping here a little bit. Of course, I wish I spent a little time with our sister in New Jersey so I'd learn a little more. Anyway, the Fantastic Fungi is a phenomenal film. And what struck me so much is that the largest kingdom of anything that's, the largest fungi is it. And it is a web, an interconnected web that like permeates through everything. And then to hear the properties of some of these mushrooms, how they could be like, there's pesticides. They're really good against termites and things. So these benign inoculums for so many different things that are a problem here in this earth, we can really get a lot of help from this kingdom, the largest one. I just thought that was fascinating. And so that's my 2 cents from the car in Central City, South Dakota. Loving you all. Oh.
Taking a exquisite OPC breath, omnipresent central breath. So for those of us that are already spoken into the field and as a field, we're just going to take a few moments, as we usually do, and allow people who haven't had a chance to share to jump in and stop kissing their dogs and and bring their voice to the field, their amazing voice. And I just drop this in because one of the things that's been happening for me here is this constant voice coming up. What would love do in this situation? What would love do in this situation? So on that note, I think that person knows who she is, and we'll open it to those who haven't shared. and I'm whole and complete.
Hello, everyone. Just sending love bubbles out into the world, just enjoying your conversation, enjoying being in the soul force. I just really feel really connected in this wave of love in the soul force, and just hoping everyone feels that too. And just thank you all for standing in love.
Good morning, everyone. This is Karen in Costa Rica. I feel as grace. This is just a wonderful place to be, to start my week, to remind me of so many things, to be present, to be grounded in the love and in the field all the time with others. And knowing that that's always available. And try not to forget that sometimes I get caught up in other things. So I thank you all for this call and your presence and your shares and the love. Thank you.
Hello, it's Kelsey in Minnesota. Thank you, Shelley, for that little plug. I've been a bit distracted. I'm currently in school for my Ayurveda wellness training, which is all amazing, and it's focused on the divine feminine and feminine form learning. But I have this tendency to want to be the best and to know everything right now. So as everyone was talking, I'm somewhat on like my group chat for Ayurveda school, trying to read on these articles, and I realized I was just trying to do so much at once. And I just feel, if love could speak, which it can, and what it would say is just this: you are enough, that we are enough, just because. And with that, I'm complete.
And this is Oriana in Tucson. And I've just returned home from a Indigenous gathering in Washington State, which was on the Bay where I grew up. And the shaman that led the healing circle, it was a 2-night, all-night ceremony. And it was, I'm waiting for a way to encapsulate it. It was a journey that going up, feeling called to be there, and really just at the last minute getting a ticket and going, okay, I'm going to go. And feeling all the ride, the plane flight up there of just, whoa, I could be just delusional. That could be the whole thing here. Like my whole life, I've dedicated myself to something that I'm not even sure it makes any sense at all. To going through the ceremony and being tested along the way, that I had to find the point of dynamic balance and continue to come back to it and come back to it. That singularity in the heart that creates the heartbeat. That is the celestial pulse. And on leap year, when we were sitting all night from as we moved into leap year and then all night into leap year day, that it was the one day around the world where every culture, every country, every nationality, every religion recognizes, we're out of sync with the celestial rhythm. And that's the one day that we shift. And so on that one day that we shifted, that we were shifting back into a celestial alignment with a greater civilization, that we are meant to be, we are, as our realized potential, meant to be that turning point, the turning of the wheel, as Barbara Marx Hubbard would speak to it. And it was at the hub of the wheel, the point of most influence, where we could actually shift. And that occurred. And so on my flight home, I literally was, from the moment we started taxiing down the runway, I was just in this vibratory sensation of being connected with everyone on that plane, and then everyone aboard a flight at that moment around the world, so that we were flying the whole world home. So bringing that into the living water, it's the living water that holds the memory, that holds the aliveness and the alignment with the celestial pulse. So thank you all. And I can feel the connection with the field that we're all feeling is more alivened and more, it's the lifeline that we've been thrown from a higher civilization that we are in the future. We're bringing that future into being. Yeah, thank you.
Beautiful. I see Jess there. Would you like to jump in? And I also want to just honor and some of the people that are on with us on Facebook Live. Gina Marie Burrell said, "So honored to be present, holding space for the good in all and setting intention to hold myself in this vision of balance with us all." This is really beautiful.
Hi, Shelley. Did
Hey.
the clocks change for you?
Yes.
Right, because I thought we were just about to start and I didn't realize you were just finishing. So, sorry.
So let's take a breath together, holding just, doesn't matter if you're coming in the beginning or the end. It's just one big, beautiful spiral of love. So just in this beautiful, omnipresent circle of resonance and connection, letting people know that we do keep this resonance and building of coherence going on Wednesdays. And you can join us as a mentoring steward and go to the whole, to the global coherence call, and join us there. And there we really do deepen our responsibility and come in as mentoring stewards and focus on specifics. And we're focusing on Earth Day and World Water Day and the Caravan of 2020. So we're unifying our field to come together and to actually take sacred action. So come join us there as well. And for now, we always beautifully end this call with a special symphonic symphony of voice and sound and vibration. So we invite everyone, and for those of you on Facebook Live, join us too, to take yourselves off mute, allowing that to happen. And we just send our love, expand it to those who really need this frequency today and around the planet, as we've been talking about, this beautiful web of light and love. So with that, Yum. Blessings, everyone. See you next week and see you on Wednesday. Come join us, please. And don't forget, if you're not getting that daily digest, go to goodofthewhole.org and sign in, and you'll be able to get that beautiful weekly digest that's coming out. So, thank you.
Thank you.